Welcome to the Connected by Change podcast. We met a couple months back at a networking event and we clicked right away. And I always thought your story was so interesting. So I wanted to have you on here to talk about your story and everything you've experienced and all the domains that you've been working in. So yeah, welcome.
Thank you so much, Jess. I think, like you mentioned, our vibes actually were so good together that we went for a dinner with Logan.
Yeah.
We ended up chatting the entire evening and thinking how both of us are making an impact. Absolutely. And more than you, I am excited to be here. After, of course, my story, I want to know your story because you're creating a lot of change and change is the only constant.
It is. It is. What an industry to be in.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I'm here to learn.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you gave me this opportunity.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being here. So I want to know all about you to start off, because I think your story is so interesting, but I want to start all the way from the back. Like, where are you from? What got you into what you're doing today? Let's start there and then we'll get into it.
So I'm from Surat. It's a town in Gujarat. That's the western part of India.
I'm going to in a couple of weeks. I'm so excited.
Exactly. So I come from there. It's known as the diamond capital of the world.
So like in Antwerp almost.
It's Antwerp. Yes, it is Antwerp. And I did my schooling there. Then I was in Mumbai for 9 years. I worked with KPMG for 4 years. These are all the boring stuff that I did. But soon I realized that, you need to be in the leagues where entrepreneurs are building and changing the world. So I started working on the startup industry a little bit, 2016, 2017. That's where I started writing checks, more of like a strategic investor where I could add value to any industry. And yes, since then till date, we've done quite a lot of work when it comes to startups in India. 2020, 21, during COVID, where people were actually getting to spend time with family, I was looking for new opportunities. That's where UAE clicked, and I got a call from my partner, who's Sheetal Soni, and he said, "Do you mind, starting something this grand in UAE?" And I said, "Why not? Let's give it a try. There's nothing to lose." I came with 3 things: myself, a contact, Sheetal Soni, and my degree. That's all I came up with, and since then till today, I've never looked back. I think it's been an amazing, incredible journey. And it's said right that if you give right time with right intentions to any country, you will make it big. And the good thing is our ruler is the one who says, take risks. And that's all I do.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
before we delve in more, I would love to know about you as well.
I have so many more questions for you.
I know, but I wanted to know about you.
This is what he told me before. You're just like, we're going to be asking you
We're going to have a
questions,
casual conversation talking about you, knowing about me, of course, my journey. But how about you? What have you done? I know a lot about you because of the conversation, but for the world, please talk about who's Jess.
Oh my gosh, who's Jess? I'm a confusing human being. I've started in the medical space, but then I ended up living in Haiti, working mobile health clinics, and actually starting a business with the local women down there. And that's what triggered me to get into business and leave the medical world. So after Haiti and living there for 3 months, that business is actually still going today, which is a nonprofit down there and microfinancing women's businesses. But when I got back to Canada after this trip, this journey, I started 2 more IT businesses and realized that entrepreneurship was my calling, always starting my own thing and innovating. And that just took me on a whole other journey on its own, just getting back kind of in the business and the entrepreneurship space. And then went and traveled for a while. I did my Master's of International Business, which then eventually took me around the world, working in other third world countries as well, and working on different IT projects and things like that. And and I think for me, like my number one thing that I love the most is innovating and looking at things differently and how can we do things differently. but also pushing myself and others out of their comfort zone and finding those opportunities. Because for me, why do anything if you're not pushing yourself, honestly, on a daily basis, if even possible? So yeah, that's a little bit about me, like really, really quickly. But I want to understand, because I think that's where our connection lies, is our love for entrepreneurship, for startups. And I want to understand that from you and what you're doing today, what you do today, but also what really inspires you in this space and why this space exactly.
So entrepreneurship is the only kick that I got 8 years back. And that was because I learned one thing. To go far, you need to build something yourself. Otherwise, you'll not end up learning a lot, right? So I wanted to ride that journey. Yeah. I wanted to walk that journey. A lot of people are chasing something. All I want to do was enjoy the journey, right? We'll reach wherever we can, right? So that is why I landed up in entrepreneurship. Why I work with different entrepreneurs is they teach me, like you said, innovation, right? It came from them. Right? These are people who are building tomorrows. Yeah. So I want to learn from them. It gives me a real vision to grow myself every day, takes me out of bed, knowing the fact that someone is creating a brand in this domain or that domain. And one thing I've realized that if I don't talk to an entrepreneur every day, I end up having a dull day, right? So that ended up being a part where I played a lot of connection requests on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I ended up meeting a lot of founders. As I said, I write checks myself, right? So for me, it was very easy to get into the domain because I wanted to support them not just by words, but even the intentions, right? And wherever I can open doors for them, it helped me grow. But I think what they did for me in return was massive. They actually opened more doors for me.
Right.
Because everyone taught me something. And if I had an ask, I just needed to call them and I had the entry to that door, right? Absolutely. So that is what I learned from this journey, and it inspires me every day. Thank God I'm not in a job, right? Thank God I've taken that risk.
Yeah.
I know it can be challenging because, it's a long journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey that I've been walking 8 years. Yeah. I'll still walk 10, 12 years more. But this journey teaches you everything.
And imagine like being inspired every day by the people you're surrounded by.
Exactly.
It's something that is just, I mean, how else can you, I just remember working in a 9 to 5 and the people that you're surrounded, of course, nice people, brilliant people, all of that. But I kind of left never inspired. I was, I wasn't striving to be the person next to me.
Correct.
And when you're surrounded by people that are thinking outside the box, that push themselves, that are okay with being uncomfortable, that's when you become your best self as well. And so there's kind of a win-win situation there.
Exactly.
And you are who you surround yourself with, as the saying goes. And so when you're in this environment and you being able to invest all the time and work with these people on a daily basis, like what a dream.
It's a dream.
It's amazing. And so from India all the way to UAE, Dubai, specifically in Abu Dhabi, what was the big difference that you've seen in this investment space? Is it, I would say, more inclusive here, more innovative here, or what's the biggest difference that you've seen?
I would say the first difference that I saw was I didn't just have Indian startups here. I had the global startups here. So the culture, the innovation, and the ideology was very different when it came to Dubai and Abu Dhabi because the world resides here.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that I learned. The second thing was there was an era pre-COVID where people were chasing just money and valuation. Post-COVID, things have changed to actual businesses. And I have seen multiple businesses growing out of this land, right? You don't need to always do something very innovative. But for that jurisdiction, that innovation that is missing, even if you're bringing that here, is important. That's what people brought here. And that is why, I go back and always tell people salary is the drug that you get, but try entrepreneurship. It's a risk worth taking.
Yeah.
And like you said, go out of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
I would have never met you.
Never.
Take our journey.
No.
I met you in an event.
Yeah.
this is not possible in most of the parts
I
of
wouldn't
the
have
world.
even been there if I didn't have my own business and stuff,
Exactly.
right? I'd be with a company like Why Go Network. Really,
Exactly.
you have your salary being handed to you. I'm not handed. I mean, of course, you're working for it, but it's stable. Why Network, all of those things, and that's why I'm so happy that I came here with the business as well. Is because it's gotten me to grow this network that I couldn't have imagined. The
Correct.
people that I have in this network. You touched on something really interesting, and it's not all about innovation. That's what you said. It doesn't always have to be the most innovative. And I think that's what holds a lot of people back from entrepreneurship, is because we think that we need to do something so outside the box, so different. But really, you can do the same thing that someone else is doing even better, or there's such a big population out there that you can do stuff twice.
Correct.
And that's what I remember when I really started my journey. I was like, okay, what's not out there, and trying to search for that, like that unicorn, when you can really start any business and just do it differently or do it better than the next person, or even replicate something that works, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to be that unicorn.
Correct.
And I think that holds a lot of people back because they're like, well, I don't have the idea. No, you have a million ideas. It's just about execution. And if you executed on it correctly, there's just so much opportunity and for people to get out there and really take those risks. And I think that's really an important thing to remember.
Absolutely important. And like you said, you're bang on. People do not want to do the same thing because they feel it is already happening, right?
Yeah.
Everyone talks about the competitor space.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If there is, a competitor, the market is huge to have another one.
Yeah.
Right? And another one.
Absolutely.
So all you need to do is add something that they are missing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not every time the first mover advantage matters.
Yeah.
Right? Very simple example of this part of the region. I'll take few examples with names. A company called Stakes is doing amazing here. It's not a new concept.
Stakes.
Stakes. S-T-A-K-E-S. Right.
Okay.
It's in DIFC.
Okay.
What it does is it lists the assets, the residential buildings on its platform and asks people to buy the fractional ownership in that asset. So if someone has 1,000 dirhams and if they want to buy a residential apartment, it is not possible, right?
Yeah.
You and I know that.
Yeah.
But with Stakes, it is possible to invest even 5,000 or 5,000 dirhams, a portion of that apartment. And the rental yield in UAE, we all know, right? It's huge. This is not a new idea. This is happening all over globe.
It is.
But it was not in the UAE. It was not in Dubai, right? They brought it to Dubai.
Right.
They're the market leaders today.
Yeah.
And now we have, few days back, even the DLD department has tokenized fractional ownership. So it's something that you're bringing to this part of the world which doesn't exist and doing it better. And I told once, if I remember it correctly, an EV company, electric vehicle company, to come to UAE and change these Kareem Noon drivers to electric vehicles instead of normal motorbikes, right? It's a huge business opportunity. A lot of people are not trying it, but this is an opportunity that lies here. So you don't need to innovate. Absolutely don't need to innovate. And coming back and circling to your point, innovation is holding a lot of entrepreneurs to not take that risk.
I agree. I love this topic so much because and I think one of the things as an entrepreneur too, and I mean, I'm at fault here, is that you think big picture and you're like, oh my God, it's so big and how am I going to execute? But if you take a small step every day towards that goal, you're eventually going to get it. And I only learned that, I think when I started the current company I have, which is 3 years ago now, but I had multiple companies before that. And I was always kind of thinking the big picture. I would get so overwhelmed and it was kind of it became something negative. But then once you really break it down, you're like, okay, I just need to do this today. I need to do this tomorrow. And you're just looking at those small steps, knowing that big goal in the back of your mind, it's a lot easier to execute on it. And then if you merge that with, okay, you don't have to be a unicorn and all you have to do is small steps every day, then it can be more simple than I think we make it out to be.
Absolutely, you're bang on. Instead of making one company a unicorn, make several businesses that might end up becoming a unicorn. Right? So it's that easy. And that's the inspiration I've drawn from you. And that is what I would want to know as well. How do you do it? Right? What gives you that kick to try? Of course, you're bringing a change to this company that you're doing, but you're always up trying, learning new things and implementing. A lot of people try, right? They make a plan.
Right.
They will go back, write a good note on it, but they don't implement.
Yeah.
And that plan has no execution, right?
Yeah.
But I have learned from you and I've been seeing you, doing multiple things, trying that out. What gives you that motivation to keep trying?
Man, Honestly, that's such a good question. And honestly, for me, it's something that it comes so naturally in a way that I always kind of had a fear of being ordinary in a way. And why I say that is because, I mean, my parents worked really, really hard, but they were in 9-to-5 jobs. They didn't really take too many risks. They did very well with what they're doing, but they didn't take that many risks. And I remember looking at that being like, okay, that's great. Learn from that. But I know there's a lot more in me to give the world. And I want to be able to make that change in the world. And if I have to sacrifice maybe a few hours of sleep a night to do that, I want to do that. And I want to make that difference. And I remember, again, just being in these environments of Haiti and Togo and Ghana and all these places of being like, I grew up so privileged. So if I'm not someone that can take a risk and put myself out there and do all these things that are maybe I'll fail at, but at least I'm trying, and I've come from a place of being able to, have food on the table growing up. I don't know. I felt like this obligation to do something good in the world and give back to the world. And so every time that I see an opportunity, I can go for it. Then why not push myself? If I'm not pushing myself, I honestly don't understand what I'm doing. And I get that motivation just by knowing that there's so much more in the world to be accomplished and done, opportunities to be made, but also people to help and evolve this world into a better place. And that's where it was always pushing me. The company I have now, the change agency that I started 3 years ago, all started on nonprofit work. So I actually started the company. I quit my 9-to-5. I was like, okay, I need to go back to entrepreneurship. Quit my 9-to-5. I was like, okay, I'm going to sit down for a second. What am I really passionate about? And going back to my roots, I did a lot of volunteering in the past. And it was all around mental health, homelessness, abused women, children. I was like, why don't I just go volunteer? I know this is a passion of mine, obviously not going to make money at it, but let me just put myself out there and see what happens. So I started volunteering for like a homeless shelter. So doing like working in soup kitchens, literally, or being in the garages and organizing the garages that they had. And I really got something out of that because putting myself in those positions of just wanting to help, actually opportunity came to me. So when I was there, they're like, who are you? Why are you here every day? Like, you're in your 20s. Like, why do you have all this time to volunteer? I was like, oh no, I quit my job. Like, I'm not working. And they were just like, well, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I'm a project manager, change manager. I do strategic planning. They're like, well, we need all this. Do you want to do that work instead? And I was like, why not? So I did some pro bono work for them in my actual field. All of a sudden that evolved into paid gigs. I was like, oh, maybe I have something here. Yeah. And then my name kind of got out there a little bit in my community, and I ended up getting kind of poached out to some corporations as well, and started my business that way in consulting. And so what I started doing at the beginning was every hour that I'd put towards a corporation in my work, I would give to a nonprofit. And so I was kind of dividing time between nonprofits and corporations. But my point is that when you put yourself out there in those situations of what you're really truly passionate about, and you're just putting yourselves in those environments, those opportunities will come. Correct. It doesn't need to be planned out. It doesn't need to be something that, is very methodological or whatever you want to say, but you are at least in those environments, putting yourself in those situations for opportunity to come to you. Okay. And if you are aligned to what you're doing and you're being your true self, those things will come. I always believe in kind of the universe has your back kind of situation, and those opportunities come. So I think for me, it all comes down to purpose and helping other people. And when you're there and you're helping other people, everything else comes and aligns. Good. And I think that's what's great about also Dubai is that everyone finds these win-win situations. Yes. And it's always like, okay, I'm going to help you, but how are you, how are you helping me? How am I helping you? Okay. How does this work? And everyone's kind of that give and take. It's never just take of what I feel, at least here. Okay. And so I think that kind of is why I have this purpose of doing everything that I do and challenging.
But I think there's one more purpose, and you told it bang on, right? You were like, I'm okay if I fail. Yeah. Right? Because you're okay failing and learning from it. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people are okay with that. Right. Everyone, even I know a lot of people who are taking an exam. If they fail, they'll be like, it's done. I'm done. I'll be done. I'll be in depression. Right. That's what people don't know. That failing is a part of your journey.
It is.
It is.
It's like honestly the best moments and and I'll also believe that there's a reason for failure. So you're either learning from it or it's putting you into a different direction that you weren't supposed to be going in that direction anyway. Even like breakups and like, relationships that end and stuff, like it wasn't meant to be and it puts you in a different direction. And then you're like, oh, thank God that didn't work out. Something like that. But I think businesses are the same way. And I think failure to me is like, honestly, if you think of it, failure is kind of something that is a privilege because you're putting yourself out there. And if you're able to fail, then you're at least trying.
Exactly.
If you're not failing, then you're not trying. You're not pushing. And eventually, of course, you want some success. But you learn from those failures. If you're always successful, you're not really evolving. You're not really learning and able to do better for the next thing that you do. So failure is never a fear, ever a fear. If anything, I'm like, okay, I failed. Okay, what's next? How could I make it better? What did I learn from this? Let's go. But do that at a pace that's a little bit quicker. Like agile. I think of agility, project management, we learn about the agile methodology. You can live your life like that. So you constantly just iterate. And I think that's also comes to personality. It comes to character. It comes to how you present all these things. It's all just iterating and getting better and understanding, okay, this didn't work. How can I get better? This doesn't work. How do I? Yeah. So it's a constant iteration, I believe.
Exactly. So it's for me also, it's the same, right? If I am not doing something new, I'm not learning, right? And failure may be a negative word, but I say it's a part of the process to reach to success, right? To taste success, you need to know what is happening, right? And iteration is very, very important, very, very important. And thank you so much for inspiring, right? Because we need to keep doing multiple things. We need to understand what is right, what may or may not be our right calling, right? So I don't use a word called wrong. There's nothing wrong. It's just a perspective that I tried, did not work out. It's okay, right? So that's amazing to know.
Yeah. So I have a question for you.
Please go ahead.
When you're looking at startups and you're looking at investment opportunities, what interests you the most, and what do you look at in a company that it gives you a hell yes feeling?
I think the first thing is the people, right? Who's driving this business?
Yeah.
A lot of people focus on the product first. I focus on people first, right? Because they're going to drive the business. No matter what, the world-class product cannot be sold by someone who's not passionate. So for me, people comes first. Of course, then there is team that is built up and the product and all, everything has value. But the first thing that I see is people, the hungerness to do as much as possible, the attitude to learn, right? Because if they have already tasted success, they'll always be egoistic about it. So I think characteristic of that person is very, very important. There was a time, I was okay with being in a company which had a single founder. I've changed that theory.
I remember you saying that in your panel one time.
I've changed that theory, right? So this is the change that I've learned over years. Back 2016, 2017 did not matter much, right? Who's driving the business? That person is good, no matter what. But throughout that journey of developing the company, I realized he did not have someone. Otherwise, his pace would have been doubled, right? He would have grown more faster. So that's one of the change that I've learned. But for me, it's people. That's what I chase. I think, of course, what matters a lot, which a lot of people don't do, is once you put in a check, you tend not to be in touch with the founder because you think your role is done. I feel no.
I want to dig into this a bit more.
Of course. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Well, my question is, so once you put a small, big check, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? Into a company, what is the first thing that you expect of a founder to do? Like, obviously you're saying, okay, this money is used for this. How do you make sure that they're using it appropriately at an appropriate pace? Are you involved with that process? Or is it something that you let the founder it's at their own discretion?
So I don't irritate them.
Okay.
But at the same time, I make sure that I'm in touch with them. If they need anything, they just didn't come to me for my check.
Yeah.
They came for me for a larger purpose, to reach out my network, right? That's what they came to me for. That's what I believe, right?
For sure.
And I've seen that every founder that I have been in touch with, right? And every call that I've made with these founders, maybe monthly or a quarterly, doesn't matter, but has helped them to grow, me to grow, right? So one, of course, everyone keeps the check where the money is used. But the most important thing is you're seeing the founder grow. With that, there's a possibility of opening his network and my network to each other. So for me, these quarterly calls or monthly calls are very important.
Right.
Even if my check size is $25,000, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I would love to be involved in the journey. I would love to know where I can add value, where they can add value. And of course, what I've learned a lot is character changes with money, right? And founders,
Interesting.
character changes with money. Trust me, I've seen this happening. And founders need to be told that every now and then.
Well, and I'm sure it's because it's an exciting moment for them. They probably, they were making so much revenue, or probably
Correct.
less than they have in the bank
Correct.
after you come in and invest. And so when it comes to growth and the speed of growth and their energy, I'm sure they're like, okay, let's go, let's run, let's go really quickly. How do you make sure that they're pacing themselves? And again, I'm coming back from like a change management perspective of how do you make sure that companies are growing at a pace where they can keep up with it? They're not hiring too quickly. They're not, trying to get too many clients, let's say a supply or something like that, or products in too quickly. How do you make sure that they're really pacing themselves? Is that a role that you play, or do you bring in some advisors that might, pace them out? How does that work usually?
So of course, see, I'm not good at every domain that I will invest in, right? So we'll of course have advisors. But at the same time, I go back to the old story. What did you start and bring a plan with? No one goes back to their own plan. They feel today is the day, right? Just jump into it. I always keep a check. I would not say not to run. At the same time, keep a check that everything is balanced, right? Because it takes a moment to change your strategy, but very hard to come back to your normal one, right? And that's where role of advisors matter a lot.
Yeah.
I cannot be advisor to everyone. So say if there is a company who's in fintech, we get guys from banks.
Exactly.
Right?
Of course. Yeah.
If we have someone from agri-tech, we get guys from agriculture domain. But yeah, one thing is for sure, pace is important. But at the same time, the simple theory is you do not need to change your basics, right? So don't change your basics no matter what. And that's the check we always keep. No matter what, I will not compromise on that.
Yeah.
And culture and change is the thing that matters the most.
Yeah.
If you're not changing that, you will end up, right? Before 2019, and this is a question I ask a lot of people, who knew Zoom? Who knew Zoom, right? It was not even existing.
I didn't,
right?
I don't think.
Came COVID, and we all were on Zoom, right? The world rotated around it. That's what change brings.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That change is important.
Yeah.
They grabbed the opportunity. They're the market leaders today.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean, but they never went overboard.
Yeah.
They kept the product basic till the time they can add value. Because first, in these models, you need to give them freemium models.
Of course.
Ask the user to get used to it.
Yeah.
Then add the subscription, paid subscription. So that's what is important.
And something that Zoom did really well, it really interests me. They kept to the basics.
Correct.
That's why they did so well.
And even today they have it.
Exactly. And so that was interesting because, we can get all fancy with all these tools and these extra features and all of that. But Zoom just kept it basic.
Correct.
And they kept it quality, they kept it service, and that's what people needed at the time. And it grew that way.
And it didn't change in 6 years. Trust me,
Yeah.
Jess. It's been the same.
Yeah.
Anyone still who wants to join Zoom gets a 30 minutes free subscription, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm telling. That's what I'm talking about with change. You change, grow. Don't forget your basics.
Yeah, that's great. That's great advice. I want to go back to something that you said about founders, kind of their mentality can change sometimes, their ego comes in. Let's talk about ego for a little bit.
Yeah.
So what is an example that you've seen where maybe a founder has gotten a good amount of cash in the bank from an investment, and their mentality or the way their character has maybe shifted a little bit? Have you really seen that? What was that? Why do you think that is? Let's start there.
It happens all the time, Jess. Not with me, but everyone else who's investing. See, people forget your day one. right? Who was there to write your first checks? Who were there? So people change with time, not only just because they have money, but they have tasted success, which is not existing. And like you said, they didn't see this kind of money or success earlier in their life, right? Someone who came from a very humble background, making $20 million in just 3 years, he feels, wow, I've done big, right? But you will see that those kind of founders have more often or not crashed after a point of time because they didn't respect humans. They didn't respect who made them, right? So these founders who are doing good should remember just one thing. Culture is important, right? No matter what, humility and culture, very, very important. Humble people, and I always give examples. You see any billionaire, any ultra high net worth individual, they'll always be calm. You're in Dubai, right? They're so welcoming. They're so warm. I have seen people getting up and they are way more above and beyond than me. They get up. They show you their gesture, right? That's what I'm talking about. That humbleness is what matters. Ego is good to wrong kind of people, not the right kind of people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you lose the journey. You lose everything that you've built. And I've seen this not once, but I see it every 2 to 3 years when the startup graph grows for that entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And we see, oh, yeah, now the person who used to pick up your calls whenever you wanted is not available.
No more.
Is no more.
No more.
But that's okay, right?
Yeah.
That happens in normal businesses as well. But I would rather do business with people who are available, no matter what, wherever they have reached. And that's a quality and sign that this environment have taught me more.
Yeah. Do you think that based off someone's character, or do you think it's just them not understanding how to control that new aspect of their life?
It's a
Which
control.
one? It's a little bit
control.
Not being familiar with that
yeah.
and having that accessibility, and all of a sudden they're like, wow, like I can be this person that I never have been in the past. So you change your character based off that. Because if you probably knew them a few years back, they would have been completely different. And I wonder, like, do you think, I mean, there's obviously a lot of founders out there that they keep a consistent, just less egotistic character even as they grow. Do you think that's just because, some people have a better moral compass, or do you think I don't know, what would be the reason for someone just staying humble throughout that whole process versus someone that really gets in their head about it?
See, I'll be honest. People generally tend not to be honest or humble when they are in these early ages, right? 20s, 5s to 40s. That's where the ego hits. But people generally who clear this age of 15 years, 25 to 40, and go back humble are only because their surroundings are good, right? You sit up and stand with people who have money. You will never grow egoistic because they all have money.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
they
like,
all have money.
Yeah.
They know how to handle it.
Yeah.
The moment you are one among the ones who do not have, your ego grows up or said, see what I've done in 5 years, I've become this flashy, that. So very classic example. We sit in economy when we start our journey, right? People don't go to first row for extra leg room. They directly go to business. That small little difference is what I'm talking about. And that only changes once you're on the right side where people already had money in your surroundings, people who didn't have. And money is just one aspect, Jess.
I know, it is.
Just one aspect. Even closing 200 clients, right? To manage those 200 clients, like you said, you're not hiring at the right time, or you're hiring too much for small little projects, right? So those kind of nature is also very basic things that people don't have. And that's where they kill the company. And I've seen actually founders not growing well, then the co-founders having fights and whatever. But it's very hard to not go to that level of ego when you have money and people and clients and everyone is just talking about you. But who do this are the ones who just climb the ladder no matter what. And then you are acquired by the BlackRocks of the world.
Yeah. So I'm going to change the conversation a little bit because I want to get more into who Prateek is. And really, I know we talked about your journey really quickly, but I want to know a little bit about what truly gets you up in the morning, which I know we talk about entrepreneurship, innovation, things like that. But then also I want to talk about some challenges, like really tough times in your life that you've been through, how you got through them. Yeah.
So honestly, I have had multiple challenging times, right? First was when I was shifting from Surat to Mumbai, right? Without parents, nothing. For us, independent life was difficult back then because we come from this, this part of the world, the eastern part, where we're always protected.
It's
the
collectivist.
family, it's collective, right?
Yes.
Our families are together. So I took that challenge up. I was ragged, right, to the paths, right? I was ragged in college days. But then I was like, do I need to think about that or can I build my character? Right? People helped me, of course, and that's how I built my character, learned a lot of things, learned how to give back, right? In our surroundings, not a lot of people taught us about giving back to the society. But we learned that was a difficult shift. You get $10,000 in your bank account. To donate $1,000, it's something you don't learn very easily, right? But that's what we learned through that change. It was a tough time for me when I went back from Mumbai to my dad's work, right? Very comfortable. And tough times doesn't just mean, you didn't have money or anything. But just from going back to uncomfortable life to comfortable life is also tough. It's not easy.
Yeah,
right?
no, it's...
You don't get the kick to get up and work, right? Because I'm a guy who loves meeting people. All I do throughout the day is meet 6 people. So for me, if I didn't do that, it was tough. I had a moment where I lost a friend. She passed away.
I'm sorry.
No problem. But that time I was like, I didn't have a lot of friends then. So she meant everything. So I was like, what to do? Life has ended for me. Because whom do I go to? Whom do I speak to? But I think that 3 months that I was going through that entire rebuilding of myself, I realized that made me an extrovert from an introvert. And that's where I learned you give too much importance to, what is not there rather than giving importance to who's there. Right. That is what I learned that day. Second, I learned the art of taking risks. Of course, what I also learned through the journey is failure is important. I failed multiple times in trying a lot of things. I've not just been a chartered accountant or a startup investor. Someone called me an events guy also. I love doing events.
It's so true.
I've done hundreds. I've faltered in 90. And I'll be honest. I did an event, tried to call 50 people, maybe 15 came up. So I've seen those days. But I never stopped. I had only one mantra. The show must go on, no matter what, right? And that gave me courage to fly back. Very important incident, and I think the game-changing incident of my life was leaving my dad's practice, the comfortable life, taking a call from Sheetal and coming to UAE. Everyone around me was like, "Did you really want to do that? Right? Why do you really want to take that risk?" I came here, stayed here for 6 months. I did not get my family here. That 6 months was tough. It was really tough because back in 21, it was not this glamorous. We're still building, not too many clients. We were all new to the industry. Why would people come to us? But I think that 6 months made me more determined to be here, to learn, and to make sure that I get out of bed every day to meet one person at a coffee shop or through LinkedIn or through anything else. But I'll meet that one new person every day. And I think a lot of things that happen in your life teach you one thing for sure. You must go on and just do it, right? I like Nike's tagline, just do it. Fail, don't fail, doesn't matter. So these are small little incidents. Of course, I'll not talk about money that has been lost or wrong things that have happened. I would rather say I've learned from all of these small little things and tried to become as passionate about whatever I'm doing and as humble as a human I can become. And trust me, people like you inspire me for sure, right? Of course, my best friend, Paras and Shivangi in Dubai have been inspiring me since a couple of years now. One thing that I've learned from all of you is if you don't try, you will not know. So keep trying.
And I always think like, I don't want to be 70 years old looking back and be like, what if? Like, I rather be like, oh my God, I failed a million times and I was an idiot here. I did this, whatever. But I rather have that than being like, oh, I should have. And that would be my biggest, like, I don't know. I think of that, and that's my biggest motivation is I do not want to be at 70 and be like, what if? And then being at a spot of, oh, I didn't do anything in my life, or I didn't do anything that was outside or help people or whatever that is. I want to be at 70 being like, I tried my hardest, and whatever the result is, then sure.
Doesn't matter.
But I'd rather just try our hardest. And I think that's what we all connect on is we're all pushing ourselves on that daily to be the best we can be, to build a world of possibilities, opportunity, innovation, and community. And I think those are the biggest things.
Those are the biggest things with the purpose,
Yes.
right? That you're doing it. No matter what, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the purpose matters to me. And that is why I wanted to, come back to the story of what hit you to get into change management.
Yeah.
What hit you and why is this so important? Because for me, it is important, right? If there is no change, you're losing out the essence,
Absolutely.
right? But what about you?
Yeah.
Why you chose this?
Yeah. So going back to your point, I know why you invest in companies or why you choose a certain company is because of the people. Well, for me, it all comes down to people as well. And in the IT environment, in corporate environments, people want to get things done really quickly, and we really focus on the IT side. We look at the cost, the timelines, the scope, all of these things, but we're not really looking at, okay, what does this mean for humans? And especially on any projects. This could be a startup project, it could be a nonprofit, it could be government, it could be corporation. But there's a lot of change always happening, and companies need to evolve, and we want to see these companies, nonprofits evolving, but we get stalled in not really looking and fixing the human side and allowing people to go along for that change. Really look at the technical side. And when people aren't brought along, they're not inspired. They don't want to be part of that company. And then you're really stalling growth. But if you're stalling growth of a company, you're also stalling how the world can evolve at the speed that we could. And so if we have people really behind a lot of the changes all these companies, organizations are doing, then we're enabling these companies to also grow in all these industries.
Correct.
It comes down to people. And so change management for me, as it being an IT project manager, continuous improvement in these spaces, I was like, this is great and I like it, but I always was the one going to the people and understanding, okay, well, how are you feeling about this? Tell me all of, like, I almost became a therapist for a lot of these people. And then everyone's like, Jessica, maybe you're better at like doing something more human related, not IT related. I was like, oh, maybe that's true. And so that's when I got into the change management practice of it all, where it's really focusing on the people side of these transformations, implementations, evolutions of projects, organizations, industries themselves. And so that's kind of how the practice started. And I saw a gap in the market. So when I was going to corporations, they already had project management in their companies. They already have BAs and all these technical roles. But a lot of the time, they don't have a change manager actually looking at the people side of it. So I was like, oh, there's a gap here, maybe a business opportunity. And that's when, 3 years ago, I was like, well, why don't I just focus on change management? I know it's really good when you're starting businesses and you can find that niche, right, to at least start. And so I started, and it's been an interesting journey because in Canada, people know what change management is.
Yeah.
And got a couple clients in there and it did okay. And then moving here, I bring up the word change and there's a big fear element. Change management, oh my God, change, no. I even had people that I networked with and I met and they're like, just change your name. Like you have change in your, you're like, you're freaking people out. I was like, yeah, that's great. I'm going to keep my name, the change agency, but I maybe need to sell it a little differently because change comes with fear.
Correct.
And you want to play on that to a certain extent, but then why would people want to work with you? And so then it's really twisting the words around how can I really sell it where they understand the value that we're bringing, and knowing that we're there as your partner to transition into this new, either if it's a new trend or if it's new technology or a new industry, whatever that is, we're there to help you. We're not there to bring change. We're helping you to adapt to change and evolve with change. And that was kind of a question I also wanted to ask you of, in this investment startup realm of everything, where do you see this all going? So we talk about industry change. We're talking about maybe different startups that you're seeing coming into your pipeline that you would have never seen before. I'm thinking AI, for example, of course. Okay. Is there other companies, or is there a future that you see in certain industries that either intrigue you or something that you're saying, okay, this is becoming so prevalent, you need to get into this?
So, see, I'll talk about industries first that I think can be the future. But I'll also talk about what are the changes that we are seeing. Right? Industries would be data centers, right? Quantum computing. These are industries which are future. Right? A lot of people are working. It's a very cost-heavy thing, but I think these are going to be the future where people are working on it, and we would love to be a part of that journey. But what matters is, during this journey, are the people adopting the change? Because like you said, change means fear, right? Are people comfortable to change the environment, to go out and do something new from what they were doing, right? Is the biggest risk they feel. So I feel professionals like you and, team leaders like you can add a lot of value to these corporates or companies that are coming up, because change is for good. They do not understand this. Yes. They just think that it is something different, but they don't understand that change is good. For example, taking back our example to Zoom, right? It did nothing. It just added features, right? That's change, right? It didn't change the culture. I have a live example of Telegram. The team size of Telegram is very small, but they're building very simple product. It's an app, right? But the entire crypto world talks on Telegram, right? Yeah. So that's small little things of change, making the entire ecosystem of your network, give them the differentiator factor. Well, even WhatsApp exists, but no one talks about crypto just on WhatsApp, right? Yeah. They did that with Telegram. Yeah. So you need to understand that these little moves or these little change, according to the need of the hour, builds that company. And that is why, you are in the top 1% or you're just anywhere, right? And I would rather be among the classes than in masses. With just one change, humility and, your basic culture should not change. That's what I feel, and that is what I have for change management. But I would love to hear your side of the story, because you also meet a lot of people, right? So are people adapting to the change? Do you see this market? I'm talking about this because Canada, I'm sure people do. But what about this market? Are people adaptable?
It's interesting. So I think there's two sides of it. So you have your side where people, like the startup culture, innovation. I mean, obviously those ones are, a change is kind of what they're going towards. They're being innovative and they're doing all of those things. The biggest hurdle to change are usually the bigger organizations where they've been doing things the same way for hundreds of years, really. And people have been working there for 20 plus years. And the thing with the UAE, it's very different in the way leadership structures are. You have very, very powerful people at the top, and people won't say anything. Even if that person says something wrong, they won't. Where in Canada, you could tell at least I wouldn't have an issue telling the president, being like, no, I don't agree with you. Here, they're like, Jessica, don't do that. Yeah. I'm like, oh no. So you can't really say it how it is all the time here, at least. Yeah. And so that's a little bit different. So if you have a really good leader here, then it's amazing, as we've seen, as even historically, the government here and everything. But so I find you're stalling change in the bigger organizations, but also when those organizations actually adopt change and they have systems in place for change, they can also be very powerful.
Correct.
And I'm working with some organizations now where they know that they need to do digital transformations. And once the leaders are at the top saying, yes, we're doing this, they move quickly.
Correct.
Because everyone's like, oh, okay, he or she said this, we're doing it.
Yeah.
And everyone's involved and everyone's on board. Okay. So there's pros and cons of being in the UAE because because you have such powerful leaders at the top, change can happen really quickly if they say so. But if they're the ones being a little bit hesitant, it's not going to happen. Where in North America, there was a little bit less of a power dynamic, and that would be different. But yeah, I think the UAE at least inspires change, and that comes all the way from the leaders all the way down, always innovating. We want to have the best and the biggest and the safest and all of this, and that's what's so great. That's what brought me here. I saw this change, this evolution, the vision that UAE has, especially Dubai has, and I wanted to be a part of it. And so all this change that is happening, people are willing to do it. Every time I bring up change, they're like, oh my God, we need it. We need change management. Correct. They really understand the human aspect of it, and they're investing. I mean, it's proven now. I've been proving it a few times here and there here in Dubai, and it's even becoming more and more of the norm of someone actually going into organizations, focusing on the people side, and saying, okay, what about this? How are we evolving as an industry, as a company, and how are we doing things differently than we were doing before? So yeah, there's a big market for it, and I think a lot of industries are now, they have to move faster than ever. They really do, to keep up with competition, but also to be the best and keep up with what the vision of UAE is.
Correct.
And so yeah, there's so much opportunity here, so much open-mindedness here. And I think the people that migrate to Dubai is inspiring because everyone seems to have a similar mindset of they're open to change. They're open for innovation. They're open for different cultures. And it's just a different environment here that inspires me, and why I want to stay here is the people that you are surrounded with. And I think it all comes down from the leadership we have here, and that trickles all the way down, and it attracts the right people to this place. And so we're in an ecosystem that's so exciting and exhilarating and helpful and open. And, you know, you're in a group of people from all different backgrounds.
Correct.
Like, it's so amazing. And that's how we met too.
Exactly. I mean, I have not seen a country where I go to an event, I have 20, 25 people, different cultures. Right, I have not seen.
Yeah.
So this is what this country gives, and I fully agree that at least the good part is they're adaptable.
Yeah.
Right. They change, they don't. That's okay, but they've become better.
Yeah.
That's important. They've moved. Right.
Yeah.
That's important. Yeah. So good to know. Yeah. I would also want to know, and a little different from our topic, but I would want to know, what does Jessica loves to do in her life apart from just work? If she's given 30 days, what would she do?
Travel. Okay. Traveling for me is everything. I mean, I spent my whole year last year. 6 months of the year, I'd say. I was in a new country every week. So
wow, new country every week. Yeah. Wow, that's exciting.
1 to 2 weeks, it depended. But yeah, I went all the way from Canada all the way down to Bolivia and every country in between. And yeah, so I love traveling. It's everything to me. I think I've lived in over like 15 countries, but then I've traveled I'm almost hitting 50 here soon. So I think traveling for me, and again, it comes down to, I love being different cultures. I love eating different food. I love seeing different things, being around different people that make me think differently, either inspire me, or you see, there's gratitude that comes with that, a lot of the time. There's learning new ways of life. There's learning new lessons. There's just having these really deep conversations with people on a random beach or something, who knows? I don't know. I think travel for me has been everything for me for most of my life. And I want to continue doing that. I've actually put myself on a travel ban right now, though. I was like, okay, I need to go like 2 months no traveling because it's actually gotten out of hand. So I've not traveled for like maybe a month. I was just in Tanzania. You're going there soon.
Yeah. That's why I'm taking you to Surat.
Yes, right. That's why, yeah. You are breaking my travel ban. That's one thing where I'm like, oh, damn it. Tried so hard. But yeah, I was going to do 2 months. I think it's going to be hitting a month and a half.
Exactly. That's there.
But no, travel for me is everything. And then hanging with people, spending some quality time, having these deep conversations. I love one-on-one conversations and getting really into the psyche of people and why. And I think that's why I like the people side of change, all that stuff. I really love understanding people, how they work, why they work the way they do, or why they are the way they are, what their past is, what motivates them, where do they see themselves going, what's their goals, and how can we help each other get there, and creating those communities around that. Because I think it all comes down to what you want to achieve in life is how you can surround yourself with that network and that community around you who can support you, lift you up. Wow. And what a better, there's no better place I think in the world than Dubai to have these, and people like yourself that I've met that, you're just so inspiring, but I've never felt so supported in my life. And that is just, that gives me goosebumps thinking about it, because you can't find that everywhere. And it's so much gratitude to those people that can support other people like that. Because I know it's everywhere. It's not just us. So, I think that's everything that motivates me.
Excellent. So the goal is to have Rolls Royce?
I don't know. After all my nonprofits deal. Okay, there's two sides of me. There's a nonprofit side that I can live in the bush in Africa, but then there's also this very bougie side of me that I just, I'm still finding that balance. Yeah. So maybe a Rolls Royce, and I'll volunteer on the side.
Maybe I think a couple of projects in the line to get those nonprofits to profits.
Yes, then maybe that's it.
Exciting.
Corporate social responsibility or sustainable enterprises, social enterprises. What a space to be in now. I think that's going to be the new thing. Absolutely. When you can combine two. And I think that's all we have today anyway, the time-wise. So thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. I learned so much. We always have such great conversations. Exactly. We'll have another conversation probably at the bar after this.
Yes, after sure. For sure.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Prateek. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jess, for having me here.